President Brent Bozell, 4 full days of coverage of this Potemkin convention. I didn't learn a damn thing about a damn thing. We have the media telling
Neither
us
did
what to
anyone
think.
else.
The media telling us it's joyful. The vibes are great. We have John Carl telling George Stephanopoulos that Kamala Harris reminds her of Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher. Are these guys smoking something? Did we learn something from this convention?
No, and I'll give you some numbers which startled me. When we took a survey of Democratic voters leading into the elections to see what they knew about Kamala Harris. Mark, the numbers are not to be believed. 71% of Democrats didn't know that she supported reparations to atone for slavery. 86% didn't know that she supports giving death row inmates the right to vote. 73% of Democrats didn't know that she was a co-sponsor of the radical Green New Deal. 81% of Democrats didn't know health insurance is one of the most important issues out there, that she's in favor of eliminating all private health insurance. You heard me right. 71% of Democrats didn't know that she was in favor of defunding the police. 78% of Democrats didn't know that she set up the fund to bail out protesters during the 2020 riots.
With your taxpayer dollars.
Is the number 2 issue facing Americans. Democrats, Republicans alike are looking at the border being overrun, and they're horrified by what's happening. With that in mind, 72% of Democrats didn't know that as border czar, she had never once been to a conflict zone. And they're actually pretending that she was never the border czar. 77% of Democrats didn't know that she supports eliminating ICE. But here's the big one, the one that jumped off the page to me. 74% of Democrats do not know that she is in favor of not making it a crime to cross the border illegally. In other words, complete open borders. Anybody can come in, and it's not a crime to do that. 74%. So that was leading into the convention. I can guarantee you, Mark Levin, leaving the convention, nothing's changed because they never addressed any one of these issues.
None of
They
them.
made their case to the American people on all these things, saying, I believe these things. I believe that death row inmates ought to get the right to vote. I believe we need to eliminate the police. I believe we need to have open borders.
She never said any of that.
Your private health insurance. Had she made that argument, Donald Trump would be ahead by 30 points right now.
You're 100% right. So let's dig into this a little bit. So we have 4 days wall-to-wall coverage of convention. We learn absolutely nothing. It's all so weird. The media are so weird. The people they interview are so weird. It's just the whole damn thing is like, it's just strange. We're supposed to be in the greatest democracy on the face of the earth. We're supposed to have the greatest free press on the face of the earth. And we have a candidate for President of the United States who's the Vice President of the United States. The American people do not know. And by God, if she has her way, her party has her way, and the media have her way, the American people will never know about her, right up to and including on Election Day. And I see liberals and Democrats on this network and other networks say, but it's working. What's working? It's not working for the American people.
They're lying to us. They're lying to us.
It's working because those same Democrats in the media are enabling it for it to happen. Look, Mark, I would think if I were a political reporter, and the old-fashioned Bob Novak kind of political reporter, today this election cycle would be the most intriguing election of my lifetime. In the middle of the campaign, the Democratic nominee, the presumptive nominee, who also happens to be the President of the United States, is thrown under the bus by the Democratic political machine. I mean, what a story to investigate, and yet silence. Kamala Harris, who was considered the whole time she was vice president an absolutely inept vice president, everybody did. Suddenly, overnight, literally overnight, The entire Democratic machine declares she's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
And before,
this is a great
they
story
didn't like
for the
her.
media to investigate. And yet, they have been the ones who had put the kibosh. All this talk about Kamala Harris won't do an interview. What about reporters doing a story? This is being lost.
They
Reporters
won't.
are
They're bought and paid
deliberately
for.
keeping the kibosh on her record. They don't want the American people to know who she is.
Yeah, and that's what happens in authoritarian regimes.
Authoritarian
Not a great
regime. That's
constitutional republic. So what is
what's
this?
exactly
is it an
what they are.
authoritarian regime, or is it a great constitutional republic? We'll explore that when we return. We'll be right back.